Welcome to The Sex Matters. I'm Dr. Thuy.
And I'm Jenna Stewart.
In today's episode, we're diving into the fascinating topic of defenses against intimacy.
We'll explore how our behaviors and choices can sometimes work against our deepest desires for connection.
Join us as we unpack a compelling story of power dynamics, vulnerability, and the search for true intimacy. Today we're going to be talking about defenses against intimacy. This is one of my favorite topics, and we are a very social group as humans. It's really important for us to have deep social, intimate relationships. But what's fascinating is we often have very strong boundaries against the kind of love, intimacy, vulnerability that we say that we want. And what really this process is about is understanding what are your defenses against love and how do you allow for people to actually connect with you and what does that mean? So part of what we're going to be working on today is to see how we can see a setup in life where a person might be going about something. So you'll see that our guest has gone about life in a way that seems powerful to him in an experience where he's in a power position sexually with other couples, but he's not actually able to get the kind of love and intimacy that he really wants. And so the idea of having a family or having a relationship that is really meaningful, because he's not looking at that, you can see the way that he's avoiding it without being conscious of it. State something that either you personally feel is a defense against intimacy for yourself or that you observe that you think is really significant to share.
For me, it's my maybe distrust of asking for what I need. That it's hard for me to, as we went over, be more vocal about the things I need in the moment. And so then I don't get my needs met, and then I kind of keep telling myself, well, you're never going to get your needs met.
Right. Yeah, that's important because then that becomes the self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Mm-hmm. Other thoughts?
I think for me, it's pushing back against someone offering help. I'm like, no, I could do it myself. I don't need your help. When actually I really do want, like in a given circumstance, I would love to have some help, but I'm just afraid that like I'll be indebted to someone. Like
that
if
you
they
owe
do
them something?
that if they do something for me, I then owe them something.
Okay, great.
So I just shut it out entirely so that I'd never have to face that feeling.
Okay, thank you.
I have a black belt in defense against intimacy, so there are myriad ways. I think part of it is I'm not going to get my needs met, so why should I even tell you?
Yeah.
So that wall's up before anything gets started.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is also not trusting my intuition going into a situation with someone. Can I say this? How, and maybe it's the person I'm involved with, sharing something that I'm very worried that it's not going to be taken the right way or I'm going to be attacked for it. So I'm very hesitant to share something because I'm not sure of how safe I am, and I'm not trusting my intuition and reading the situation and reading that person very well.
Beautiful. Okay, so let's see if we can work on that today. Perfect. Jamie?
I do acts of service for others and will let them come to the top on everything and meet their needs along the way to avoid letting my guard down to go ahead and have my needs met. And I've always assumed it was based on I want to care for this other person. And in reality, it's a large part of it is I don't want you to get close because I'm afraid I'm going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And I want you to think kindly of me rather than see all of me.
Yeah, and then you may not trust when they fall in love with you or want to be with you, because when we do that, when we have the defense, What occurs is our own mistrust of the other person's love or affection, because somewhere in your mind you may be thinking, but if they knew all of me and they knew these parts of me or these things that I've kept in a secret shelf somewhere, they don't actually love me or they will reject me. And so we're really setting up a system that is counter to what we want. This guest that's coming in, the concept of cuckolding is a really significant power dynamic. Jay, do you want to go into it a bit, just in terms of like the origin and what the elements are?
Sure. So the origin comes from the cuckoo bird laying eggs in someone else's nest and letting then another bird take care of those eggs. Now in modern society, it's where the husband solicits another male to come in and take care of the wife. There is an element the husband likes to feel being degraded. That's his sexual maybe fetish, or the power of just watching his wife be satisfied, and he doesn't have to do it. So, and maybe it could be, related to malfunctioning, but it's power for the husband, it's power for what the bull, the man that's coming in to please the wife. There's a lot of different things going on in cuckolding, I would say.
So let's pay attention to the idea of what it's used for the guest, okay, what it might be compensating for. Hi, how are you feeling sitting there?
I'm a little anxious, a little nervous, but I'm excited and, just breathing through it.
What are you anxious about?
Being able to tell the right story, my story, authentically, candidly.
I trust that you can. And whatever you tell, it'll be perfect as it is. So, no pressure. I was telling the group about this really interesting dynamic that you've been involved in, the idea of cuckolding. So, what is it for you?
It's the idea behind it that, to me, the woman can't get what she wants at home. So she needs to seek it out, and she wants me to give it to her. To me, that's extremely powerful.
And you do.
And I do. Well, I give it to her.
Nice.
And that's the exciting thing to me about it, right? Whether it's true or not on their end. That's what I want to think, and that's how I envision this role that I'm playing in this part.
Yeah.
Where he can't satisfy her, so she needs me to. She comes to me for that.
So you come in with a lot of power. I would imagine a kind of a confidence that you can. And how do you know that you can satisfy her? There's a setup here that's really important for us to look at.
How do I know that I can satisfy her? Testimonials.
Okay.
I'm kidding, but I'm not.
Not really.
I'm not really kidding, I'm confident in myself and my abilities, and I like to perform in that sense. I like to play that part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do walk in with some swagger. You have to, I'm always nervous. I'm always anxious, at least the first time it happens.
Yeah.
Interesting, the word you use is you're ready to perform, right? And that is an area sometimes of contention for men where they do feel like they have to perform. And for men, if they can't, it's a lot more evident than if it isn't the case for women. But when you say perform, what do you mean?
I mean, put on a show.
Okay, so
Right.
there's an awareness that there's something about it that's a show.
Absolutely.
And what is the show?
The show can be very different, depends on the situation.
What is your
talk-
favorite show?
favorite show? Well, let's talk about a couple of them real quick. There's a
Okay.
show where the husband, the cuckold, is there,
Okay.
right? He's watching. Sometimes he's directing, and you're like, okay, hold on, settle down, buddy. But let them do their thing. I'm there to perform for him, for her. That's my role in that situation.
Yeah.
I will never tell him to calm down or do anything unless I feel uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but I just roll with it, right?
Okay.
That's one sort of situation. Sometimes I'll bring in the phone and they'll
Easy,
video-
Tiger.
Excuse me.
Let's see. Tell me about that a bit more, right? Because
Which
you're
one?
going about it really, really fast.
Yeah,
I just want to slow it down.
thank you.
What does he make you do?
Sometimes they'll direct, right? I'm going to talk about this one situation. We meet in the hotel lobby with his wife at the lobby bar. We have some drinks. He goes up to the room to set up the room, set up the scene.
Mm-hmm.
He'll change the lighting around, usually by throwing a shirt over the lamp. And then we'll walk in a little bit, and he's there, camera up, ready to film, starting that. Can you stand right there? Can you do this? Can you go back to doing that? He's directing his shots. And in that sense, it's a little hard to keep on and off. I feel, used a little bit sometimes,
Yeah.
but it's also kind of hot at the same time.
Mm-hmm. What's hot about it?
His wife is mine.
Mm.
He can't give her what she needs. And so he's filming me doing that to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something about that that feels like you are not only powerful in the room, but there's something about that that feels really intense.
Mhm.
Would you describe it that way?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I would describe definitely powerful, definitely intense.
And when you're in that situation, what are you feeling most of the time?
I'm feeling like euphoric, right?
High.
High,
Mm-hmm.
very high. And, because I feel my ego, right, is being stroked immensely.
Mm-hmm.
Especially sometimes with the husband likes humiliation. I hear, "Oh my God, you're so much better than he is." I'm like, I know.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Mhm.
So it's a real specific hit to your ego.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And she'll tell you that in front of him.
Mhm.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And do you seek that? Is that important for you to hear or want?
In that situation, yes.
Okay. So part of it is being good at it.
Correct.
Okay. And you were going to tell me about a second situation?
Yeah. Sometimes he sends her over to my apartment,
Mm-hmm.
or she comes over alone. Anyway. And we'll film some scenarios, and we'll just film us playing and having sex.
Mm-hmm.
And then we turn that film off, and then I have my one-on-one time with her, and that's when I can really kind of dig into my ego and really kind of bring it out of her, because she's comfortable that he's not there listening.
What do you find her saying to you?
A lot of what I said a minute ago, like I want her to tell me and reassure me that she can't get this at her home. She needs me. She needs this. She needs to feel good, and this is that I'm doing it for her.
And what do you say in return?
I affirm her.
Mm-hmm. And then when it's over, in either scenario, what happens?
Either she goes home to her husband, or I go home to my apartment. We just leave and part ways, if that's what you're asking.
That's not what I'm asking.
Sometimes the wife will go home and have sex with the husband and tell me about it.
Okay.
That doesn't get me off.
Yeah, you wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Cool.
who cares? Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about you, though,
Yeah.
right? So you're sitting in front of me. You're funny. There's kind of an easy way about you.
Mm.
I would imagine that you think of yourself as someone that is good looking, smart.
Mm.
What other traits?
Charismatic,
Mm-hmm.
genuine,
Loving.
loving, in shape, healthy.
Those are amazing traits.
Thank you.
So when you think about relationship, is this what you want?
No. Well, with a relationship, I don't have relationships with these women. Some of them become my friends, but that's it.
Uh-huh.
They have family, their own lives, as I have my own life.
Yeah.
but our lives are never going to combine, right? It's just a game we're playing out there.
When the game's over, you go back into your life and them into their life.
Uh-huh.
And do you have a sense that you want something different?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I would like to be in a relationship. It's sometimes hard to see them go home to their family and me home alone, and they're not available to me like I would want in a relationship.
Right.
They're unavailable in a certain sense, right?
In that transaction.
Right. It's all it is. It's a transaction. It's an empty transaction. It's all it is.
You shared something with me that I found so touching, which is that there are times when afterwards you might cry. And I found that really moving.
Yeah. It's true. It is empty after there's nothing there filling my vessel other than the building of my ego that I don't need to be built any higher.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Sure, going home to an empty, quiet space is nice, but then there's no one else there. There's no one to fulfill me in a home life because I'm out on a Friday night going to a hotel meeting this couple when I could be out doing other things, meeting an appropriate partner, right? Or having her come over on a Friday night and ordering some sushi, and all of a sudden I'm paying for it. Why am I paying for a date for a married woman that's coming over to my house so I can service her?
Yep.
Right?
I hear some anger when you say that.
Or resentment.
Yeah.
But, there was one who liked to come over in the mornings and bring me breakfast and coffee, and we would have sex. She would give me a massage, and she would go home to her life. That was, solid start to a Sunday, but it's a weird start to a Sunday. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. It feels kind of lonely.
Yeah. It's just filling up. It's the idea of temporary filling a void.
Yeah. But you still do it?
I am stopping. I was going to say working on, but I can't say working on. You just got to do it.
But have you done it?
No, I haven't seen anyone. I've been talking to them.
I see. Well, talking begins the process, doesn't it?
It does. It does. But the idea of making a date with a married woman that lives an hour and a half away sounds like a terrible idea to me these days. Because I'm over being lonely.
Yeah.
And I got to make a date with someone I could become in a partnership with.
And what does that look like for you, like the partnership that you really want?
I would like a companion that I feel we are both on equal enough playing fields in terms of spirituality and sensuality and mindfulness, and the partner to spend time with, to be with. You can't do that if I'm flirting around all the time.
So if I put something on the line for you and I said, the man that I see in front of me wants something very different than what he's doing in his life. And it's clear what he's going to get if he continues to do what he's been doing. Do you think you could make a commitment to stop?
Yes,
What would that sound like to me?
I am stopped. I have stopped. I will stop. I have to tell these women who I'm talking to that it has to stop. And that's what I have to do.
And I'm just curious, as I ask that of you, what comes up for you?
A little bit of, I hope maybe my future partner might be into this with me. Because it's fun. It's exhilarating. I like the high of it.
Yeah.
But I don't need it.
Uh-huh.
I don't think I need it.
Yeah.
I've never not been able to have it, so I don't think I need it. you know? So it's a little, you know, I just hope I find a partner who wants to explore with me in whatever way. But I
Maybe
can't do that.
lots of ways.
Not exactly. But I can't
Yeah.
do that if I'm not looking for a partner, not open that space, that energy that's finite.
Yeah. So this particular topic that we're talking about is about people that have defenses against intimacy. What would you say to people that are listening to your story and wanting to be inspired by you and what is going to come next for you? What would you say to them?
Energy is finite. And if you're spreading your energy to these situations that, however they fill your cup, doesn't serve what you want more of, you're just wasting the energy that you could be presenting somewhere else, right? You could be opening that space, that time.
That's beautiful. Is there anything else you'd want to share in the moment?
I've had a great time doing what I've been doing. I've had a lot of fun doing what I've been doing in terms of the cuckold relationships. And I'm making a commitment right now, right here in front of everybody, that I'm going to stop that for the time being and use the energy into a different space and opening up the possibility to accept a partner.
Yeah. And should that change in the future, allow it to. You know, you don't have to make a rule that then this is how you live your life. But when you're sitting in front of me, I'm really interested in what you want and how you get it. And it's an interesting concept to stop and see what comes your way. Anything else you want to share?
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure having you here. Thank you. How was that for everyone? It's a different energy than you're used to, right? What came up for people?
I felt like there was a hesitancy to put something online. I'm really going to stop. Well, I'm going to stop a little bit until I find a partner who agrees to do that. And it felt like, well, the other side seems to be having fun. I need to have that too.
Yeah.
And be interesting to have a fuller discussion around that.
He seemed very young.
Mm.
I got the sense that it's coming from a very young place.
Yeah.
And there was nothing on the line. It almost, there was an addictive quality, you know, the thrill, the anticipation, the adrenaline, the ego payoff.
Sure.
A lot of fun, no joy. That's what I got.
He specifically said that he felt used.
Yeah.
And so that felt like a sad outcome from what seemed like it might be a really positive experience.
It's a one-way street. That's what I got the sense of. And he's looking for a two-way street. Right now it's a one-way street. But unless he decisively gives it up, he can't have that two-way street. So I think there's a little bargaining that's going to be going on. That's what I sensed. I sense a bargaining.
Well, bargaining's an important part of the grief process for him, right? So bargaining becomes something about not tracking the loss. There's loss here in him doing this. So he has to be a god in that room, because if he was not, he would feel what the bargaining is really about. That it can be anything from loss of time to relationship to family, children, whatever it is that is actually deeper for him. And you see glimpses of it, right? You see glimpses of a sweetness and a part that really wants to be close to someone. I want to get you guys into the sex lab because I feel like, Peter, I want to pick up where we left off, question number 3, around desirability. So I want to do a role reversal in the sex lab. I would like Peter to go in there, and I want you to approach this from a different place. I want you to approach this from the place where you are going to express desire instead of waiting for someone to express desire to you. And I'm going to talk about how we're going to do that. And we're going to do it in a way that Jenna is going to receive it. And whatever it is he says, it's not the words that I want you to react to, it's the feeling. And what I'd like to do is just write a few phrases down, have you share them with Jenna, and she's going to react to them in whatever way. And so when he shares something, he'll say that makes me feel blank, blank, blank. Okay. I'm going to send Jenna off first. I'm going to have you all stay here, and we'll meet you in the sex lab.
Okay.
Let me put a couple of things together.
Write it in big letters.
I'm going to do 4, okay? And
Okay.
what I'd like to do is I would like for you to repeat the word. So you're going to repeat the statement to her. Imagine that I'm repeating it in here. So in a sense, say it twice.
Okay.
And then let her react. And then I will give her a cue to say, okay, the next one. I'm going to do it in French. Okay? So that way, what we're not going to be evaluating is what you say. We're going to evaluate it from how you say it. Got it?
Remember, this is foreplay.
Are you ready?
No, but
Let's go. Let's do it. And remember, in French.
bon.
Merci. Okay, ask him to take a nice deep breath.
Take a nice deep breath.
And start with number 1.
You can start with number 1.
Tes yeux sont belles.
Your eyes are beautiful. Ask him to tell you one more time.
You tell me one more time.
Tes yeux sont belles.
And then go ahead and react to that, Jenna. I love the way you're smiling.
I actually understood what he said.
Beautiful.
That was really honest, and I felt like you weren't reading a card. You're actually looking really deeply into my eyes, so I don't feel like it's an act. I feel comfortable. I don't feel like you're being cheesy with me. Yeah, he's very calm.
It's great.
And confident.
Perfect. Let's, we're going to keep going. Let's go to number 2.
Let's go to number 2.
Tu me rends si joyeux.
You make me so joyful. Ask him to repeat it.
You repeat it?
Tu me rends si joyeux.
And just a 1-sentence reaction, Jay.
If I was on a date with a Frenchman and he said that to me and I didn't know what he said, I would feel really good.
Good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Let's have him do 3.
Number 3.
Je suis votre.
I am yours.
Je suis votre.
I love that
Very
he took the initiative.
Yeah. I was just going to say that. Very confident.
And then number 4.
And number 4.
Tu es à moi.
You are mine.
Very confident.
Could you repeat that line back to him, Jay? Do you feel like you can do that?
Tu es à moi.
Oui.
Ouais.
And then check in with how he feels, and then we'll bring him back.
How are you feeling right now?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Enjoying this.
Yeah.
Is there a 5th statement?
He wants number 5. She wants you back in the room. We didn't say the sex lab was long.
So we're gonna hear from the group, and then we'll hear from you, and we'll hear from Jenna, and then we'll wrap. Okay?
Sounds good.
There was no skipping on this one. There was straight swagger. You looked so confident. There was, I was in love with you at that moment.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
I couldn't tell exactly from watching, but it looked like you had your hand on her shoulder the whole time, which I thought was an amazing way to connect, like
I
the
was gonna
physical
bring that
touch.
up, yeah.
And like, it was your hand was very comfortable. You were moving with her as she was moving. It was just like perfect.
They were dancing.
Yeah,
right?
it was beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It just looked very joyful. It was really sweet.
And so the experience for you?
Well, like I was saying, if I was just on a date with a Frenchman that I can understand a little bit of French, but not a whole lot, I would just enjoy you looking into my eyes and saying things that I think are really nice. But you were super comfortable and super laid back, and just, I didn't sense the leg bouncing. And like you said, he naturally, nobody asked him. You took that position on your own. And I didn't give you any sort of indication that I didn't like it. So you didn't go, oops, whoops,
Yep.
shouldn't do that. You left it there,
Yep.
which was great. And he gave a little, nothing inappropriate, but it was just kind of like a little dance on my shoulder.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, a little caress
Yep.
while he was speaking. And I think the whole thing was very pleasant. Yeah.
It felt
did great.
in alignment with what the exercise was. It
Right.
felt appropriate.
Right.
Beautiful.
Right. There was no defense against intimacy there. Good job.
And what was it like for you?
My immediate sort of go-to was to go straight to my head.
Uh-huh.
And because I looked at the first statement and I go, tes yeux sont, your eyes are. Like, oh, am I supposed to fill in the blank? And I was like, oh, now are your eyes masculine, bull, or feminine, belle?
I would do
And
that
I was
too.
like,
Is this conjugated properly? Totally.
I was like, belle, bull, belle. So I went with sont belle, but for a minute I'm like all in my head.
Yes. That's
So
perfect.
and I had to overcome that.
Yes, you did.
And then the second thing is, when I lived in France, I found speaking language, I was a lot less inhibited speaking French than English. I was much more forward with women than it would be in English. It was just different.
It's different.
I could be something different in a different language and a different culture than in English. Or so my mind told me this back when I was 22, 23. But I don't think, saying these in English, I would have done the same thing. So I don't think that was the issue, but it was sort of a little twist.
It was.
And so I had to overcome belle, oh, masculine, feminine, and I just went with it. And I'm like, okay, that's not going to derail me.
But I didn't see you doing any of that
Yeah.
because I didn't know it was on the card. So
Yeah.
I didn't know you were processing that in the moment. You seemed like, oh, you knew exactly what it said, and your delivery was on point. And
Yeah.
so I didn't sense it.
And I also tried to basically, transmit feeling, yes, say the words, but also transmit it. So if she didn't understand the words, maybe she might get what I was saying.
Yeah.
And then also, having my hand on her shoulder, it would have just seemed weird if I sat there all sort of tight. So I just felt, well, that's appropriate. I should do that. And why not? I'd like to touch her shoulder.
You are the one that was going to set the precedent around desire. So you embodied that and experienced it versus I didn't tell you to go in there to put your hand on her shoulder.
Right.
I set up a circumstance to empower you for you to discover how you're going to do that. Because when we did this last, You did it like ordering a cheeseburger, right? And so the creativity of the work is not to tell you what to do. I could tell you what to do. I promise I will when it's time, right? But in the moments that for you to really integrate, not only are you integrating that you can do this, you can do it in French, you can do it in English, you can do it however it is you want. You could do it without words. I want you to experiment with what you can do and understand that you're not limited. But I want you to embody it and discover that, because then it's yours and I didn't give it to you.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Perfect sense, yes.
It's so exciting just to watch the transformations happen in real time, quickly, and not because I want them to happen quickly, but because they can when you're ready. It's not a rushing of the process. It's an opening and a clearing for what can be when it's time. Great job today, everyone. Off you go.
Thank you for joining us on this fascinating discussion of power, vulnerability, and personal intimacy on the Sex Matters.
We hope this discussion has given you some food for thought about your own relationship patterns and defenses.
Remember, true intimacy often requires us to lower our guard and take emotional risk.
This is Dr. Thuy
And Jenna Stewart.
signing off.
She's very creative in setting up the situations in the lab and putting you through an exercise. Of course, my mind is always, okay, this is going to be brutal. This is going to be tough. What am I going to find out? I think the way she designed it, she sort of knew what was going to happen. I had no idea what was going to happen. It was enlightening for me. Go, oh, that's how I'd react in that situation. If you'd told me ahead of time, this is what you're going to do, I would have predicted a very different outcome. But she sort of knew what she was doing, and she knew what the outcome would be. She knew what I was going to do better than what I knew I was going to do, which I find fascinating.